Hey there guys, greetings and salutations once again. James here with another video. You know, one of the things I wanted to address in this video is maybe 3 misconceptions about men that like feet. Guys that we would say have a foot fetish. I typically like to go with the idea of a man that admires feet. You know, the world, usually it's easier for the world just to say, hey, he has a foot fetish, so I go along with that just for that because it's easier just to explain in that way. But I really wanted to go over just 3 simple misconceptions about men that admire feet or have a foot fetish. And I think they're just really simple, straight to the point, and I've addressed some of these on other videos, but I wanted to make this a little bit shorter and just kind of straight to the point because I think there's a lot of misconceptions that happen when it comes to the foot thing and stuff like that. You probably see my headset here. I was playing Callisto Protocol and yeah, just enjoying the game. Love the game. I'm a gamer, so it's my day off, so and yeah, just enjoying. So just thought I'd keep these on because I'm about to hop back on the game after I'm done. But I wanted to say, yeah, we have a lot of misconceptions when it comes to, you know, men that are admirers of feet. So I just want to go down these 3 simple misconceptions. So let's do that. And before I get into the topic, I want to encourage you to like and subscribe. All right, guys, let's do it. So I've shared this periodically on my videos, but the first misconception is that just because a guy likes feet doesn't mean he likes everyone's feet. I think that there's this misconception that as soon as a man, specifically, and I'm simply talking about men because there are women that like feet as well, but specifically for us men, every guy does not like everyone's feet. And I think that there's always this misconception that there's no standard. Yes, there is a standard. For me, for example, I like a lady with clean feet. I like a lady that takes care of her feet. They're aligned fairly nicely and they're not hard, they're not rough, but they're cared for. So to me, that is something that's very feminine. I'm obviously attracted to women that are feminine, that take care of their skin, hygiene, things like that. So that's very important, but know that there are different guys with different preferences. I've shared this many times in a lot of my other videos. There's a spectrum when it comes to, you know, what we would call maybe foot fetish, but there is people that they're kind of like on the side where it's kind of mild, you know, so it might be just they're massaging feet or something like that. It's like very basic. So it's something almost universal that most guys are willing to do for their lady. And then you have the other end where some people would even call it the extreme. I'm not judging anybody. I want to be very clear. I never want to judge and put anybody down, but that would be maybe a guy that likes to get kicked or trampled and stepped on because he gets aroused by that. So there are people that do that in different communities. I'm not against that. If that's your thing, enjoy. But there's a spectrum. So I think the first misconception is that some people just assume that if a guy likes feet, he likes everyone's feet. And that's not true. Some people are very specific about certain skin complexions that they're attracted to when it comes to a lady's skin or her feet specifically. Some people like certain care. You know, there are women that are very extreme when it comes to taking care of their feet. Others, they're very nonchalant. And some guys would not be interested in somebody that's very nonchalant. Some guys are very particular about feet smelling nice, always being cared for, always being you know, trim the nails and things like that. So the hygiene and their standards just different. I think that it's kind of foolish sometimes to say, hey, you like feet. And then, you know, I've had even people say, hey, James is here. Everybody cover their feet as a joke or something, which I don't have an issue with. It gives the impression that there's no standard. And obviously we have a standard. You know, for example, I'm not into women that are bigger than me or taller than me. That's just not something that I prefer. You know, we all have our own preferences. So I think you want to respect men in that respect. Don't just assume since your brother or your cousin or your uncle admires feet that he likes everyone's feet. That's not how it works. Last thing I'll say is I'll just give one quick example. I'm not into feet that are very big, especially from like very big, heavy women. So obviously if a woman is like obese, for example, I would not be interested in even looking at her feet at all. So there's a lot of different variables to keep up with that and a lot of things basically to consider. Number 2, there's this impression that men that admire feet or have a foot fetish are obsessed with feet or they lust after feet. I've had a lot of people in a discussion with me either online or in person, and then they'll say, well, that's why you like feet or something like that. And I'm thinking to myself, I use my PS5 more often than I have touched a lady's feet before, or I use my car, or I've driven motorcycles more than I've touched feet. So do I have a PS5 fetish? Do I have a motorcycle fetish? Do I have a sports car fetish? You know, I have a Dodge Challenger. So, you get what I'm saying. So how would you one define what is obsessed? So I think there are a lot of people that are very quick to attack people that like feet. And in my opinion, this is just my opinion, the two types of people that typically try to mock or really put down men that like feet, they typically are people themselves that like feet as well, but they're just hiding it and they're trying to shame someone else that's being more open and public and transparent. Yeah. There's, obviously insecurities and things like that. There's a lot of people that, again, they're not very comfortable with themselves, so it's easier to insult people and it's easy to jump to conclusions and assume, hey, I heard you like feet, so you're a weirdo. And it's like, well, we all have different preferences when it comes to sexuality, what we're attracted to, and things like that. So, what if somebody says, hey, I like green eyes? Do I say, okay, well, you're a weirdo because you like green eyes? How do we define what is weird exactly? So that's something I would consider running past somebody, but we're not all obsessed with feet. And I think that there's, like I said, the misconception. For example, I have a job. I have 2 jobs that I'm managing. I've been managing 2 jobs for the last, 20 plus years since I've been working. I don't have time to obsess over feet. I have to actually pay bills. I have books that I read, not only the Bible, but I have other biographies that I'm reading. And there's a lot of different political books that I'm reading. And I don't have time to obsess over feet. I just don't have the time. And then there's ministry work as well. I can't tell you how many times God has put me in a position to minister to people that do not know Christ, or maybe they assume they know Christ. And so as a Christian, my relationship with God comes first, not feet. And I know that there's, again, misconception, but you would be wrong. There are some people that have more obsessive and more of an obsessive nature when it comes to feet, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit in the next point. But I think it's important to at least observe how a person is behaving when it comes to, their thing for feet. Like there's some guys that they're talking about it every day, and then maybe I would be concerned for that person. Like, okay, relax, But you have a lot of people that are just, it's very mild, but because they just mention it, there's this stigma or there's this stereotype to demonize it or make it kind of weird. Like, hey, you like feet and you're weird. And it's like, well, I admire feet sometimes, so I think it's really weird, or I think it's rather difficult to attack somebody for having preferences when we all have preferences. The last is number 3, and it's really simple, straight to the point. We're simply not all the same. I think there's this idea that everyone that likes feet are all the same. And like I've said in the other 2 points, we all have our preferences, we all have lives, we all have things that we have to manage in our lives. And I think there's this idea that if you like feet, whether you're a male or female, you're just weird, strange, and you're just thrown under the bus and demonized. But there are a lot of us that have to manage multiple things in our lives, and we don't have time to obsess over anything. We have to take care of business, Like even today, I had to get my tire replaced. I don't have time to be obsessing over feet. I have to take care of business. I have stuff to take care of. So I don't have time for that. I don't have time to play around with people or argue with people, but it's just as strange that there are a lot of people that they will not ask questions, they won't investigate, they'll simply hear one thing and then they'll just kind of go with this negative idea and ride it out without even inquiring if it's true or not. So I think it is interesting to be cautious that there are some guys that are obsessed with feet, and maybe I'll address that in another video, the obsessive nature over some guys that like feet a little too much. I've met them as well, and we've had some disagreements, and there's some guys where they enjoyed talking about feet with me, and it was very mild, and then we talked about other stuff. And there are other times where I had to actually stop communicating with somebody because they were so obsessed over feet, and they were just objectifying women, which I don't go for. So just wanted to share those things. Hope this was helpful. God bless you guys. This is James here at Unique Perspectives, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.